can't believe it, I got him. And that is my biggest buck ever. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh. Yes.
What led me to create ASIO was, as I got further on in life and started to be able to afford to go on some of these more extreme type sheep and goat hunts, I got exposed to the really high-end premium hunting apparel. Just blown away at how light it was, how functional it was. You know, you didn't have to wear a ton of layers to stay warm, it breathed well. And as I did more and more of those hunts, I saw a gap between the really high-end premium clothing that was out there and a camouflage pattern that really worked for me as an obsessed whitetail hunter. So I said, you know, if I can ever come up with a camouflage pattern that makes sense, not just a gimmicky type pattern to throw another pattern into the market, but one that really made sense, that would work in all of the whitetails range, I said, yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. And so it took a while, but when we finally came up with our Raptor pattern, boy, the light bulb went off, and that's how ASIO was born. So the ASIO brand is a whitetail bow hunting mission-specific camo brand. That is our lane, that is what we do. We are fixated on improving camo and the apparel industry only in the whitetail space. That's all we obsess on every single day, is making better whitetail apparel for the end user, because we are end users. So the name ASIO is a Latin word for a genus of owls, and that's how we came up with the name, because our original Raptor pattern is based off the coloring, shading, depth of the best tree predator in North America, the great horned owl. And so for us, it made a lot of sense to just pull from nature and make a pattern that's gonna blend in regardless of the season. You know, an owl doesn't change colors in July or February. He is the same color all year long, and it doesn't matter if we're hunting in South Carolina or Montana or Alberta or Texas, his pattern remains the same, and he blends in to any environment that he's in. And so that made a lot of sense to us, and that's how we created the ASIO Raptor pattern. So what makes the ASIO Raptor pattern different is it is really the only ambush predator-based pattern on the market. As humans, we tend to over-engineer things, and over time, these patterns have morphed into these big macro patterns. And if you look at a big macro pattern and how, when you move, it really shows the movement. Whereas a more micro pattern, like what the owl has, it disguises that movement. And after a lot of testing, we are certain that nature has it right. And so we just poached that camo pattern from nature. The ASIO customer is a guy that's serious about whitetail hunting. He wants to elevate his game or continuing to step things up. You know, there's a standard that a lot of guys set, and they want to stay up to that standard with everything they do. It's a premium line for the guy that is serious about whitetail bow hunting and wants to be successful in his craft. So having been in the hunting industry and creating ASIO, obviously the first guys I wanted to put the gear on were some of the most hardcore, experienced bow hunters in North America.
I'm Don Higgins, and basically anything to do with whitetails, I've got my hands in it somehow. Well, I shot my first whitetail back in 1979. I was 16 years old, And when I walked up on that buck, I knew what God put me on this planet for. I was going to be chasing whitetails my entire life and helping others to have success doing the same thing. ASIO camo, when I discovered it a few years back, I'd seen some social media ads and such for ASIO, and I was kind of intrigued, but you know, once I had it in my hand and seen that pattern, once I wore that pattern to a tree stand and I seen how well it blended in, you know, I could put my arm on a branch and that camo just blended right in with that branch. You know, ASIO blended in. It's the pattern I really like, but it's also the quality of those garments. They're not cheaply made at all. I would stick ASIO right up there with those high dollar brands. The pattern is so much better, but the quality of the garment is right there with them.
I'm Adam Hayes, and this will actually be my 45th season bow hunting, and I've had some pretty good success. I've managed to take 14 bucks over 170 inches with my bow, and 4 of those topping the 200-inch mark. I've definitely been able to harvest more than my share of bucks of a lifetime. You know, in 45 years, I've probably tried every camouflage pattern that's ever been available. You know, I've had good ones, bad ones over the years, patterns that seem to work, patterns that seem to stand out and feel like a turd in a punch bowl. But when Joe told me about his idea with ASIO, I was really intrigued. And from the first time I wore ASIO in the tree, I just felt like I melted into the tree and the pattern just disappeared. And of everything I've ever tried, I really think it's the best pattern that I've ever used.
Growing up, I took to the outdoors like a duck takes to water. So it just became my whole life after a while. When I first started out and I shot my first Pope and Young back in early 80s, it set off something in me. I was an athlete, goals and records were all things that I wanted to achieve, so all of a sudden in hunting it started being the same thing. So in that first 20-some years, I probably had 20-some Pope and Young deer from 125 up to 180, and then the next 15, 20 years or so, it went from 170 up to 216. Everything in my life has revolved around hunting whitetail with a bow. This type of clothing is hunting equipment. And that's where it sets the difference between ASIO and other manufacturers. I just love that design. And you need that stuff in your arsenal. It's working for me, I'm not gonna change it. Stuff's gonna last you a lifetime. I mean, it's part of your arsenal now and you use it, and that's what I'm all about.
I grew up here in these Appalachian mountains, you know, and I had passion for wildlife, game, and being outdoors and being in the woods, and that was the main thing that caused me to move forward to the degree I am now. It's just a passion I had for it. I don't sell gimmicks, I sell knowledge. I write books, I sell woodsmanship skills, but that camouflage is not a gimmick. It's a tool, a useful tool. Good camouflage is important. I tell you, I have hunted with this ASIO for the last 3 or 4 years, and it has made me an unbelievable supporter of it. Invest in the best camouflage you can find.
I'm Andy May. I've been bow hunting since I was 18, fell in love with it. Never looked back. I've just been absolutely obsessed ever since. I love the challenge of hunting new areas. I love the challenge of tracking down older bucks in new territory, new country, new terrain. I didn't want ASIO to be a sponsor. I wanted to be in the process of building the best hunting gear in the world. And Joe wanted that. Joe wanted me to build these garments, improve these garments side by side with him. We just recently launched Rapex, the new camo pattern, and I was side by side with Joe developing that pattern, and it was one of the funnest things I've done Rapex is designed for the open country, the sagebrush, the CRP, the prairie grass, the rock. It mimics the patterns of a bobcat, a coyote, a mountain lion, some of nature's most effective ground predators. We wanted to mimic those color tones and those patterns from those animals so that it's the most effective ground hunting pattern available. It's an awesome pattern. It looks good to the eye. It looks better in the field.
So we just released our new Rapex pattern, and it's designed more universal for a guy that does a lot of different styles of hunting. If you're a tree stand bow guy, but you do some spot and stalk, you do some brush blind stuff, that's what this pattern is designed for. Our original Raptor pattern is super mission specific. It is for the whitetail tree stand bow hunter. And then if you want a complement to that, or if you want something more universal, the Rapex pattern is your go-to because it's gonna blend in any environment. I'm really thankful every single morning when I wake up that I'm able to compete, work hard, and bring new innovative stuff to the space that we love every single day. So that really drives and motivates me to bring the best possible gear to the market. The ASIO brand is definitely growing. We have been blown away with the 5 years that we've had in the industry and the ability to pull market share from some of the 800-pound gorillas in the industry. It's a very competitive industry, and we are just going to keep advancing and pushing the envelope and raising the bar and raising the standard with what's expected and demanded from the whitetail bow hunter. And we are so excited about the future and appreciate all of our customers.
I would say if you're a serious bow hunter, serious about hunting mature animals, you got to connect all the dots. And when it comes to camouflage and camo patterns, sometimes a product comes along where it feels like it's as good as it gets, and that's really how I feel about ASIO. I think it's the perfect pattern.
Early season, mid-season, late season, ASIO has everything covered. It's extremely technical gear. It's every bit as good as some of the big names in the industry. It just hasn't grown to that capacity yet. But the textiles used, the technology, it is right there with any of the big ones. And it will last you a lifetime. And if it doesn't, we're gonna replace it.
It's some of the warmest and quietest stuff that I've ever worn to the woods. Very well built. I love the guarantee that it comes with. Just a very professional company. And to be honest, one of the things I love most about ASIO is the people behind the brand. Their integrity and their understanding of what it means to be a whitetail hunter is what really drew me to ASIO and what keeps me wearing ASIO season after season.
We're really trying to design it for the serious, hardcore hunter that's in that middle class. And what sets it apart is it's more affordable and it's got a lifetime guarantee, lifetime warranty.
Can you kill deer in blue jeans and a flannel shirt? Of course you can. But if you're wanting to get extremely close and control everything that you can control, the Raptor pattern and the Rapex pattern are going to give you an advantage.